welcome our blood viewers to RTD's News English Edition. As usual, we'll begin tonight's news with the major and top highlights as follows. The head of state receives the National Human Rights Commission in the presidency. Detection of talents in school athletics, MEMFOP and the FDA 2022-2023 season. And on the international scene, Africa's growth will exceed that of the rest of the world in economy. Those were the major and top highlights. Welcome back to our newsroom, our beloved viewers. The head of state, His Excellency Mr. Ismail Omar Guelleh, received this Sunday morning at the Palace of the Republic the President of the National Commission on Human Rights, CNDH, Mr. Ali Soubaneh, accompanied by his key staff. The audience served as a framework for the handing over of the action plan that the institution has set for the year 2023 in the wake of the renewal of leadership intervened at its head. The continuation of the efforts aiming at guaranteeing the respect and the affirmation of human rights in Djibouti, the identification of integrated mechanisms of collaboration around the notion between the institution in the whole of public and private authorities of our country, and the ways and means allowing the involvement of the greatest number of our fellow citizens in the national process devoted to the promotion of human rights under our skies constitutes, among others, the key matrices around which the action plan is articulated. It also provides for relay models in the interior regions, including the most remote areas of the national territory. As for the material arrangements, including logistics and office automation, which are partly dependent on the success of this action plan, they were the subject of a compliment submitted to the President of the Republic. In the contents of this audience, we are pleased with the positive response to our grievance, said the President of the CDH to the press at the end of his talks with the head of state, who also reported on the inclusion in terms of reference established at the institution he directs, the celebration in Djibouti of the 75th anniversary of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. The Minister of Justice and Penitentiary Affairs in charge of human rights, Mr. Ali Hassan Bahdan, the Secretary General of the Presidency, Mr. Mohammed Abdullahi Wa'es, and the legal advisor of the head of state, Mrs. Suad Hussein Farah, all took part in this important event. In a statement to the media, the chairman of the National Human Rights Commission expressed his deep thanks and great appreciation to the President of the Republic for the warm reception, while expressing his great efforts to follow up on the requests submitted by the committee during his meeting. Shifting gears, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation of the Republic of Djibouti condemns in the strongest terms the heinous acts authorized by the Swedish authorities that led an extremist to burn the Holy Quran in the front of the Turkish embassy in Stockholm. The ministry reiterates the importance of working together in to combat violent extremism and the hateful messages conveyed by this type of provocations that incites Islamophobia. The ministry also reiterates its commitment to the values of tolerance and respect for others in order to strengthen peace and security through dialogue between the people. Last stop of the tour of the Ministry of Social Affairs in Solidarity, Madame Uluf Ismail Abdou, in the framework of the National Week of Solidarity, the region of Arta. This trip began this morning in the sub-prefecture of Karta. The minister was accompanied in her trip by the Minister of Energy and Natural Resources, Dr. Yunus Ali Guedeh, and were welcomed by the prefect of the Arta region, Mohammed Hassan Sheikhoun, the president of the regional council. The Karta people were thus mobilized for the occasion to welcome the delegation and especially take advantage of this week of solidarity to share their needs with the officials present. It is in this sense that a meeting with the continuity of Karta and its surroundings, and especially Laita, took place under the plover tree. Thus, a sincere exchange took place between the officials and the inhabitants of the sub-prefectures of Karta on the projects and programs carried out, their impacts, but also on what remains to be done. The different representatives of the community did not fail to emphasize the latter aspect, focusing in particular on the shortage of water, the reinforcement of equipment and medication for the health center, vocational training for women and young people who have dropped out of school, the provision of finance for the school for the safety of children, and the cleanliness of the school. Concerning women, they asked to accelerate the procedures of access to microfinance to further develop their income-generating activities. So many subjects and points raised during this morning's meeting between the delegation led by the Ministry of Social Affairs and Solidarity and the inhabitants of Karta and the neighboring areas. Also in Qatar and on the occasion of the National Week of Solidarity, the Minister of Social Affairs and Solidarity, Madame Uluf Ismail Abdo, presided to the laying of the foundation stone of the community premises of the locality. The laying took place in the presence of the Minister of Energy and Natural Resources and Minister of the Region, Mr. Yunus Ali Gaiden, members of Parliament at the constituency of Artab. This future premises is intended for the meeting between the community, the UNFD branch, and the Islamic teaching, and in particular the Holy Quran. The Director of General of ADDS, Mr. Mahdi Muhammad Jama', came back to us on the essential points regarding the realization of this project of community premises. For her part, the Minister of Social Affairs and Solidarity, Mrs. Uluf Ismail Abdo, in her speech, said that her ministerial department has managed to mobilize significant financial resources following the appeal made by the President of the Republic to the community to provide assistance to people affected by the drought, and that the inhabitants of the locality will receive their share of these financial resources provided by the government of Djibouti and the partners. The CNSS, in partnership with the French pharmaceutical company Sanofi, organizes from 21 to 23 January 2023 a forum on health with the participation of doctors, professors, and an array of international experts, including Obakar, the senior scientist in artificial intelligence and expert in technology innovation applied, among others, to e-health. The scientist in artificial intelligence and applied mathematics, Obakar Aden Hussein, participated in the scientific forum on health to address an issue that is of paramount importance, which is how e-health and artificial intelligence are two main levers for the modernization of the health system. In a remarkable and high-quality presentation, he took the audience on a journey into the medicine of the future, showing how e-health, powered by the incredible innovations brought about by artificial intelligence at all stages of non-communicable diseases management, from prevention, early diagnosis, predictive and precision medicine, as well as the development and of personalized treatment and patient follow-up, can improve the quality of care and increase patients' survival rate. Mr. Warsam Aghiri, Director General of Djibouti Port Community Systems, participated in a panel of experts discussing the paradigmatic approach to the implementation of the Maritime Single Window organized by the International Maritime Organization and the International Association of Ports and Harbors. This symposium was held from January 18 to 19 at the IMO headquarters in London. The event brought together particular governments, ports, shipping industry, and standards bodies to capitalize on lessons learned from successful maritime single window deployments around the world. DBC was honored to share its experience in this area with IMO member states at this prestigious event. The symposium was particularly rewarding for member countries that have not yet adopted a single window, as they were able to explore the technical requirements, institutional framework, and coordinated border management practices of existing systems around the world, such as the Djibouti Port Community System. As a result of the amendments updating the provisions of the IMO FAL Convention on the Facilitation Committee session, it will now be mandatory for public authorities to establish, maintain, and operate maritime single window systems by January 2024. The establishment of DBCs in Djibouti was initiated following the instructions of the President of the Republic, Mr. Ismail Omar Guelleh, to establish a single platform for submitting import-export formalities. Thus, the Djibouti Ports and Free Zones Authority is committed since 2018 to digitize the Djibouti shipping sector with the creation of DPCS. Moving to the Ministry of National Education and Vocational Training, in close collaboration with the Djiboutian Athletics Federation, which organized on Friday the 20th and Saturday the 4-kilometer race for middle school students. 1,000 male and female middle school students in the capital municipalities participated in this race. This race was organized to run 4 kilometers for the benefit of the capital's preparatory schools and in the 5 regions. These competitions, which are the first of its kind, were held in the presence of the Secretary General of the Ministry, Mr. Mohammed Abdullah Mahyoub, the President of the Djibouti Athletics Federation, Mr. Saeed Ismail Hassan, and senior officials of the Ministry. These races fall within the framework of the agreement signed between the Ministry and the Federation with the aim of discovering the best athletes in schools and establishing sports clubs in each institution. This selection phase also aims in the medium and long term to follow the athletes through their school circular and get them to participate in regional and international competitions under the supervision and support of the authority. It also aims to empower and support the younger generation and encourage them to promote their sport more.
استعماركم
Still on the national scene, the Future and Development Association, operating in Rwanda in partnership with the United States Agency for International Department in the Ministry of National Education and Vocational Training, launched a project related to promoting reading in basic schools in order to develop the educational process among students. The president of the Future of Development Association, Mr. Dato Muhammad Ali, and the project advisor, Mr. Ismail, and officials from the Ministry of National Education participated in this workshop aimed at launching the project to promote reading among students. The speakers took this opportunity to stress the importance of the association's efforts in promoting reading and called for more support to raise awareness among parents among the importance of reading, which helps students better invest and succeed. For his part, the representative of the association referred to the progress made in the second phase of the project, which is already being implemented in the schools of the main metropolises in the two northern regions, and expressed their gratitude to the organizers of this project. As part of the bilateral cooperation agreement between the U.S. government and the government of Djibouti in strengthening the capacity of associations in the 5 regions of the interior, better known as the Support Project for Civil Society Engagement in the local development processes, USAID Kaizen Company is organizing a 4-day workshop at the Gobat Hotel in Dakhil on the self-assessment of the skills of civil society organizations. The main objective of this workshop is to put into synergy the actors of change to strengthen their structural and organizational capacities in order to improve their services. During the 4 days of training, members of the civil society cluster of Dakhil and Ali Sibih and representatives of the region consuls will be required to take stock of their respective organizational needs, define an organizational transformation matrix, define a roadmap for the implementation of the strategic intervention axis in collaboration with the regional council, sectoral ministers, and other development partnerships. The launch of the workshop was chaired by the president of the regional council of Dakhil, Mr. Mahad Hussein, the president of the regional council of Ali Sibih, Mr. Sharmanke Hassan, and the deputy prefect of Dakhil, Mr. Idris Hussein Abbas. As part of the implementations of the project entitled Promotion of the Culture and Peace in Dakhil, financed by the European Union through Q1 IGAD and the IPPSHR program, the Association for Social Development and Environmental Protection of Gobat, known as ADSEG, organized from January 15 to 17 at the Regional Council of Dakhil training workshop related to the protection of women's and girls' fundamental rights as well as on gender-based violence. This workshop was also reminded the participating members of the missions and advantages of mutual funds in a given community. Indeed, the important personalities from the region, including 2 presidents of the Regional Council of Dakhil and Ali Sibih, Mr. Mahad Hussein Ahmed and Sharmanke Umar, the deputy prefect Mr. Idris Hussein Abbas, the representative of the president of CEWERU, Mr. Abdurrahman Yunus, the Vice President of Ibrahim Goro, and finally the members of the Office of the Project's Implementing Agency. Finally, after brief interventions from all participants, the consultant required by the project quickly tackled the themes of this training, which will continue for 3 consecutive days. As an extension of its programs in the field of social support, the Diwan al-Zakat, affiliated to the Ministry of Islamic Affairs, distributed the second batch of orphan sponsorship in the government of Tajara. The ceremony of distributing into the place in the presence of the government of the Tajara region, Mr. Hassan Dabil Ahmed, officials of the Diwan, representative of local authorities, notably the head of regional council, and a number of notables in addition to representatives of families benefiting from this financial assistance, which is allocated to an orphan segment. The Diwan al-Zakat aims behind distributing zakat dues to meet the needs of an orphan category because caring for orphans is a religious and national duty. The court spares no effort to bring joy to the souls of orphans in order to facilitate their integration into the society. The mobile team of customs agents from the Tajara region, headed by Jilani Shahim, arrested a large amount of smuggled khat weighing 550 kilograms in cooperation with the armed forces from Tajara. During this process, the large quantities confiscated by the customs agents were burned at site. The Director General of Customs, Mr. Guled Ahmed Yusuf, congratulated all those cooperating with customs, such as the National Armed Forces, on this important process and encouraged them to continue for more. Shifting gears towards the international scene now, our beloved viewers. Africa's economic growth is expected to outpace that of the rest of the world over the 2 next years, with real gross domestic product averaging about 4% in 2023 and 2024. This is higher than the projected global average of 2.7% and 3.2%, the African Development Bank Group said in its African Microeconomic Performance and Prospects report unveiled Thursday in Abidjan. Through a comprehensive analysis of regional growth, the report shows that the continent's 5 regions remain resilient with stable medium-term prospects, although they face significant headwinds from global socioeconomic shocks. It also identifies risks and calls for robust monetary and fiscal measures supported by structural policies to address them all. Well, by this, our beloved viewers, we finally conclude this edition. Thank you for being with us and make sure to tune in later for more. Thank you for following us.